Hey guys, it's Jenny. I know it's been a while. It's been about, I want to say 4 or 5 years since my last YouTube video. I'm so sorry, things kind of got a little crazy with my time. I was just finishing college and things were moving forward, so I kind of left my channel in the back burner, but I'm back now. And I'm really excited to be back today because we're going to be talking about the It Ends With Us series with Colleen Hoover. It ends with us and it starts with us. And this book definitely has some themes that I'm not really fond of, but there's definitely a lot to talk about with these two books, and I really wanted to have a full YouTube video and talk about it because I did talk about the second book a little bit on my TikTok. I did like a 3-minute recap of the book, and I felt like I kind of wanted to have more of like a full in-depth YouTube video with both books because it is a, you know, it does have a sequel. There is a lot more information that we do learn from It Starts With Us, so I definitely wanted to have like a full-fledged YouTube video so we can talk more about it. I did want to say though that we're going to start off with It Ends With Us first because it is the first book and it kind of gives all the context of the book. So It Ends With Us has three protagonists: Lily, Ryle, and Atlas. And to give a little context on all the relationships, Lily is married to Ryle. Well, she gets married to him. A little bit of a spoiler. And then Lily and Atlas, they were high school, were high school boyfriend and girlfriend. They were each other's first love. So there's a lot of love and a lot of, memories that are entangled with them. And so the book kind of goes back and forth between the past and the present. We see a lot of the moments of when Atlas and Lily were younger. A little backstory on Atlas. Atlas was homeless when he met Lily. His mom had actually kicked him out of the house when her husband had said, okay, well, you have to pick one. You have to pick either your son or me. And she picked her husband over him. And so Atlas has been homeless since then. And in the past, Lily actually becomes a really good friend to him. She lets him stay at her house. When he gets sick, she literally takes care of him. They would watch like Ellen like every night, every day, like at 4 before her parents came home. And her parents had no idea all this was going on, and like she was just trying to like be a really good friend to him. And obviously with these teen books, they do fall in love, and it's a very sweet kind of love story. They really genuinely fall in love with each other. They start their journey off as friends, and they really get to know each other, and actually like you can really tell that they really love each other even though they're still teenagers. But then obviously Lily's father finds out about Atlas and punches him and really injures him, and then Atlas leaves, and Lily does not see him for almost 10 years. So it's been a long time since they've seen each other. And so then we move back to the future, well, not the future, but back to the present time when Lily's in her 20s. And then one night she's literally on the top of a building, like on the roof, and she's just standing there by the ledge, just sitting there. And that's when Ryle enters the picture. So Ryle is a neurosurgeon, and he has a lot of anger issues. And in the first scene that we see him, he actually kicks the chair and repeatedly kicks it, and is just really angry. And you could tell like he's been going through it. And there's a lot of things about him that he definitely has a bit of an anger issue. It plays a lot in like the books. Even in the second book, it's very clear that he still very much has that anger issue, and he hasn't really dealt with it in the way that he should have. But kind of the themes of It Ends With Us is really about the relationship between Lily and Ryle. So when we first see them, it's kind of like a, they're kind of butting heads because Lily wants a relationship. She wants to have that one person. She wants to find her love. But Ryle, he just wants a one-night stand. So he's been very clear that he just wants to have sex with her and move on, and that he just needs to get it out of his system. And then Lily has been very clear with him and saying that that's not what she wants. But there were times where in the book she was very she was kind of weakening about the idea, and almost fell to his tactics, and was almost gonna just throw caution to the wind, and she didn't. and then eventually obviously they fall in love, and things seem to be going great for them. But then there are these series of events where Lily gets into these accidents, and it's very clear on that like they posed it accidents, but as you go more into the book, it's very clear that these accidents are not accidents, more of that Ra is actually physically hurting her. And so this book, there is a trigger warning. It deals with a lot of domestic violence, and there are a lot of situations where Lily in herself does, take the blame for the things that he does, or even says. She said that maybe I shouldn't, have riled him up. Maybe I shouldn't have said this and that. And there's a lot of her, taking the blame for things and not really seeing the kind of person that Ral is. And there have been a lot of talks in the Colleen Hoover world, and kind of like a lot of people having their thoughts of it on the the book and the series alone. And it's very hard to like read about like someone physically getting hurt, and them feeling like it's their fault when it's not. And there's one specific scene I really want to talk about that I really want to highlight from the whole book, and this is like toward the end. But this is kind of her breaking point, where actually she ends up they're in an argument. They're arguing because Ral had actually found out that Lily. So before I even say that, so give a little background. So when Lily was a teenager, she used to write letters to Ellen DeGeneres, and this was about the time that she had met Atlas. And so every time they hung out, or every single time that things happened in her life, she would write a letter to Ellen. And for years she kept these letters, and she kept them underneath her bed. And then a night, like a few months after like her and Ralph start dating, Ralph finds the box and he finds all the letters. He's livid. He's so angry about it, and this really pushes him. He's really upset, so he actually pushes her down the stairs, and she falls and she hurts herself, and she ends up in the hospital. And then when she comes to, he tries to tell her that, oh, you fell down the stairs. And that part really kind of made me mad, that like he was trying to pin it on her and say, oh, well, you fell. But she was very clear in like the beginning of after that incident, that it was very clear that she didn't fall down the stairs, that she knows that he pushed her. And that was kind of her breaking point for breaking up with him and kind of getting divorced, because at that point they had already been married. She was pregnant, so like there was a lot of factors in it for her, but she knew like at that point she had to protect herself, because her mom was in an abusive relationship with her father, and she really did not want to have her child go through the same thing that she went through. So she knew from that moment that she had to bring it up, like they couldn't continue. And even like throughout this like whole book, Atlas returns into the picture after they're adults, and Ral is very not happy about it. He puts a lot of blame on Atlas being the reason why they broke up, and he never really takes responsibility for what he played in their breakup, because he did abuse her. He did hit her, and there's not a lot of accountability from him. Like, I know toward the end of the book he finally takes accountability and says, okay, well, if this was my daughter, if my daughter was in the same situation that we were, I would tell her to leave him. So he has a bit of like a kind of like awakening a little bit toward the end, where he's like, okay, well, I understand why you're leaving. But even at the same time, he still kind of tries to guilt trip her into coming back. He's not very happy with the idea that a divorce is going to happen, and he's really not happy about it. But this book also introduces Atlas back into her life. He does come briefly in the book. Really, he's not really like a high presence like in the second book, which I'll get to. But the first book is really mostly about Lily and Ral and their relationship, and ultimately their marriage and their divorce. And we kind of leave the end feeling like we don't know where things are gonna go. She just gotten divorced. She just had her baby, and there is a little bit of hope in the air with her and Atlas, because he does return in the first book, and it's very clear that she still has feelings for him. That and Ral very, very, is very upset about it. He does not like that Atlas is back in her life, and she does turn to him, when, you know, the abuse does happen, and he's there for her. And he even gave her his phone number for when she was in trouble and she did use it. But it was definitely a point of contention for her and Ra's relationship, because he felt that, you know, that Atlas was the one that ultimately broke up the relationship. And that kind of brings us into the second book, which is It Starts With Us. This book came out a few years after, but I actually read these pretty close together, because I did read It Ends With Us like way after it released. But so this book is basically mostly about Atlas and Lily. So at the beginning of the book, it's very clear that Lily and Ryle are divorced. The divorce has happened. And this book is just basically the continuation of the last book. And we're trying to figure out, you know, what Atlas and Lily can be. And a lot of the book is kind of just like them trying to like make their relationship work. You know, it's definitely harder too, because Ryle is very protective over Lily. He, you know, is still very upset that, you know, he feels like Atlas is the one that broke the relationship up. So he definitely, you know, tries to put a wedge between them. He, you know, is not very happy with Lily like dating someone, and he, you know, is just not very happy with the situation. He wants to be back with Lily. He's been very clear about that. He says that things would be so much easier if they were together, and Lily has been very clear in saying that, okay, no, it would not be, because I'm genuinely scared when I'm with you, and it scares me when you get that angry. And so like I'm very proud of Lily for like standing her ground, because there have been situations, and you know, especially in the book, where she feels like he has tried to like manipulate her, or try to get her to like lose her ground and like just come back to him. But she's been very strong in, you know, letting him know that, okay, no, this is not what's gonna happen. We are not going to be back together. We're gonna work together as co-parents, and that's it. And she's been very clear with that with him. And so when her and Atlas start a relationship, she's been very clear with him about how what their expectation of a relationship would be, that she wants to take it slow, because she knows once Ralph finds out that they're together, he's going to be very angry. He's going to be very upset, because he's going to feel like he was, you know, betrayed, feel like that she left him for Atlas. But which in that case, it's not that case. Like when she broke up with Ryle, like there was nothing between her and Atlas yet. Like obviously there was a love when she was like a child, like a teenager, but there was not like anything going on at that point. She broke up with Ryle because of the fact that he was abusing her. He was making her scared. And so like she was definitely scared of his reaction toward when he, you know, finds out that, you know, they're together. This book definitely does dive more into Atlas's background, because we don't really see it much in the first book. Like the first book, we talk a little bit about the fact that he was homeless, but we kind of get more in depth with, you know, like his like early upbringing. We learn that like his mother had like 3 husbands before him, and she wouldn't really take care of him. Like there was like one day at Cape Cod that like she brings up when they, you know, meet like years later in the book, and like she mentioned that, and like it's like the one day that they had where like they genuinely felt like mother and son. And so like he definitely had a rough childhood upbringing, just like Lily. And I feel like that's why they connected so much, because they had that shared trauma of, you know, their parent and not feeling like they were loved. And then as soon as like they kind of met and they fell in love with each other, like Atlas even said in the book, well, in this Starts With Us, that she was the first one that, you know, he felt loved by. Like he didn't know what love was until he met her, which definitely like played a big role in the kind of person that he became, because he became a successful restaurant owner, and he's very much stable in his life now, and he feels like he can finally provide Lily with the life that she deserves, because that was the reason why he did not come back to her all those years, was because he wanted to feel like he deserved her, because he felt like, you know, even though they were teenagers at the time, that he did not deserve Lily, he did not deserve her love. So a lot of the times, like when he wanted to go back for her, he was like, well, I feel like I don't deserve her yet. And so a lot of the times, you know, he's trying to talk himself out of it. And so like he's finally at a stage in his life where he feels like he deserves her. He feels like this is the time for them. And unfortunately with Ross still in the picture, which he'll always be in the picture, he is, you know, Lily's daughter's father, so he's always going to be in the picture. But you know, Atlas learns, you know, that he wants Lily, he wants Lily's daughter in his life, so he's willing to put up with Rao. But for pretty much half of the book, you know, Rao doesn't know what's going on. He, you know, is very, you know, put in the dark about it because Lily does not want him finding out, because she knows he's going to blow a gasket, he's gonna get upset, he's gonna be mad. And so she waited toward the end. And actually toward the end of the book, when he does find out, he gets so upset and he gets so mad. He actually like pins her against the wall and like almost chokes her, and that really scares her. And she like runs to Alice and tells her what happened. And he even suggests her like maybe you need to get a lawyer involved. And obviously like they had a previous custody agreement already in place, so they weren't able to, you know, bring in like external factors. So unfortunately that didn't change anything, but it definitely scared her because it kind of brought her back to the fear that she had when, you know, like in the first book, when like right after when he like pushed her down the stairs. And like I said, like in the first book, a lot of those, you know, incidents happened. Like he threw her down the stairs. I think he pushed her on the floor and she cut open her head. So there was a lot of those incidents, and she felt just really unsafe with him. Even like toward the end of the book, she was like, well, I just don't feel safe with you with our daughter. And he gets really upset about that because like, I would never hurt my daughter. But, you know, she was just still scared for him, and well, scared for her daughter and scared for her own safety. So like she like stays with Atlas, and she knows this is gonna make him more angry, but Atlas is where she feels safe, is where she feels home. And obviously there is a happy ending toward the end of this book, of course. You know, her and Atlas do get married, and like, you know, he says the most beautiful vows, which I'm not gonna read right now because I feel like it could take me at least 5 or 6 minutes. But if you haven't read the book, you need to read it, just to read those last few pages of his vows, because it was so beautiful. It was heartbreaking because it was kind of like his ode to the letters that she used to write to him. Like this book definitely had a lot of the letters that, you know, because the first book was just basically about her Dear Ellen letters, but this book was mostly about letters that Atlas would write to Lily to kind of like show her what she meant to him at the time. He like said that, like, you know, it was really rough for him growing up, but as soon as he met her, that his whole life changed, that, you know, his, you know, whole perspective on life changed, and he finally knew what love was. He finally felt like, you know, he was going to be in a good place. He felt like he, you know, he had a future. And his life was so much like up in the air because of where he was living. He wasn't living anywhere, and, you know, it definitely was up in the air for a long time. And so he was very happy to like finally be in a good place where he could share his life with Lily, because he knew eventually that he and Lily would always end up together. And even Lily said that too, that, you know, even through all this, all that would happen with Ryle, that she was so happy that she still ended up with Atlas. So we still had a happy ending. But I did kind of want to talk about a little bit about some of the themes that I saw in both books. Definitely the domestic violence was definitely hard to read. You know, there are some situations where it happened and she definitely tried to, you know, talk about it in a way where she felt like, you know, taking the own blame for herself. And that often happens in domestic violence situations. I've literally heard a lot of talk about books, especially with this book, that there have been some people that have said that this has like glorified, you know, domestic violence relationships. And while I, you know, don't agree with that, I do think that it definitely is a book that definitely needed to be written. I definitely think that, you know, there are many women and men that are in these relationships where they feel like there is no way out. I think it's a very good way of showing that there is a way out. There is a way you can you can get out of it and be in a better life. So I think that it plays its purpose. And then there are definitely fans of Rao that I personally don't understand. I hated it. Like, I liked him in the beginning, but I absolutely hated him toward the end of the book and this whole book here, because he definitely became an obstacle for Lily. He really did not want her to be happy, and so like I just don't understand the Ryle stance. But you know, everyone to each their own opinion. This is just me like saying out my own opinion on it, but I definitely think that I just didn't like his character. I feel like, you know, he definitely needs anger management, and I'm glad that they brought that up in the second book. I definitely think he would benefit from it. So I hope that, you know, I know this is a fictional book, but if this was like a real case, I hope he would actually get the help that he needs. But obviously there is a lot more to do with these books. There is a movie coming out with Justin Baldoni as Ryle and as the director of the movie. There has been a lot of criticism about the book, because I know in the book they're supposed to be in their early 20s, they're supposed to be young, and I know Blake Lively is going to play the adult Lily, and then they have like two other people playing younger Lily and younger Atlas. But I know a lot of people have been upset about the people playing the characters, and they feel like they didn't really listen to the you know, listen to the fans and listen to what they wanted. So I definitely think that should be also part of the discussion, because I think, you know, like I'm still gonna see the movie obviously, because I did enjoy these books. I did, you know, it definitely was very emotional, like especially the first book when I first read it, because it was a lot, and it was such a culminating moment when she finally like decided to divorce him and leave. And I feel like a lot of people that when they read it, they were very emotional, because they kind of felt like this was like them in that moment, or they kind of, you know, they felt like they were able to relate to it. And so I think because of that, it was really empowering, because, you know, it kind of showed us like, okay, even if you are in this situation, that you can come out of it, you can come out of it whole. And I think that message, that broader message, is really important, especially in, you know, these stories, and even in real life stories of, you know, these situations, because it's not just fiction. These things happen in real life. So I think it's important to highlight that. But yeah, the movie I'm definitely going to see. And I do hope it turns out good. I'm definitely gonna see it, and I'll definitely like review it and like let you know how I feel about it. But it won't happen for some time. I think they're filming it now, so probably won't come out until next year. And I know a lot of people have had feelings about it, so I definitely want to see what it becomes, because I know a lot of people love these books. I know the fans are very dedicated to Colleen Hoover and these books, and they're very protective of the characters. So I definitely kind of want to see what is going to happen, and kind of see what kind of direction they're going to take, and see how these characters, you know, grow, and kind of just see how their story plays out. Because like, as you know, the books are always like, I always say the books are better than the movies, and that's just always the case. And you know, I just personally think like of all the books that I read and all the movies that I've seen that are based on books, I always find that the books are always better. So we will see if I like the movie or not. But I definitely think that, you know, that is a conversation. I would like you guys to write in the comments about how you felt about the series. My closing thoughts really, you know, about this book is there are definitely some really good themes. I really enjoyed reading. I loved reading Lily's like letters to, you know, to Ellen, to Atlas's letters to Lily. Like, I really enjoyed that aspect of the book, and it was really enjoyable for me. It was really emotional too sometimes, especially with the, you know, the first book was very emotional, and so was the second book. But obviously there were some, you know, Raleigh he was the one character I didn't really like. But the one thing I did like is that even after, you know, Ryle was, you know, very abusive, even his sister and his brother-in-law literally took Lily's side. And that was toward the end of the second book, which I really was happy about, because I was happy that even though that is their brother, even though that's someone that they love, and they also love Lily, but they could see that even though, you know, Ryle was their brother or brother-in-law, that they could see that this was still an issue, and that Ryle needed to get help. So I was really happy to see that, and see that even though like this is someone that they love, and you know, they didn't want to necessarily doing like an intervention for him, but I was very glad that they took her side and they were able to kind of help her talk to him and get him to understand that, okay, well, I really need you to get help, because I want you to be able to be there for our daughter. I want you to be able to be there for her big moments. I want you to be able to at least have overnight visits when the time is right. So I'm glad that we're kind of able to kind of get him to see the light in a way. But those are all my thoughts on this, you know, on this story. There's definitely a lot more that could be said, but this video is already long enough. So please in the comments write down what you thought about the book, what you think about the movies coming along. And then also write in the comments about like what other books you'd like me to read. I did kind of read a few more books that I might do a little bit of reviews on, but I kind of wanted to see what you guys are thinking about and what kind of books you would want me to read. But thanks for watching. I'm really excited to be back. It's been a while, and I can't wait to see what the future is in store for me, and kind of what books we'll be able to read and kind of review. But thank you guys for watching.